Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Golden Age of Gear with Derek and Joey.
Yeah.
We're here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Today, we're going for clickbait, baby.
Yes. We are going to play with some real Klons. Because everybody talks about these. These are the holy grail of overdrive pedals right now. They sell used for like between $3,000 and like $8,000 depending on what you have.
I've seen ridiculous prices lately.
And I did not pay anywhere close to that for either the ones that I have. I got them
he did.
Before they went way crazy.
He did.
If I'm being completely honest, I actually traded pedals for these. I didn't buy them. So
that's goofy.
Tradesies. So, but let's talk about, are they really that cool? What's the difference between the gold and the silver? And why is this the most sought after of this style of pedal? Like, let's talk about, and why I believe that people are right to be searching after this. So, there, I blew the whole thing. You don't have to watch the next 25 minutes because I already told you what I think. But
there you go. See you next time, folks. Thanks for tuning in.
But you don't have much experience playing real ones, do you?
I don't. The only experience that I have playing real Klons is someone brought me one to play at a show in Tomball, Texas.
Nice.
Yeah, and I was kind of like, whatever.
Yeah.
Not because I'm deliberately sort of flippant, but I've played so many pedals. I've got a lot of Klon clones, and having a random pedal off of my pedal board, even if it is a very cool one, is kind of annoying, especially we were on a small stage.
Yes.
I put this pedal in, I stepped on it, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then I had a lot of fun.
That is one of my thing. I mean, it obviously does not happen to me anywhere near the frequency or volume that happens to you, but that is actually one of my least favorite things for trying a piece of gear is when you're at the NAMM show or something like it, and somebody's like, here, you should try out this pedal that I got. Here, let's just quickly plug it into your rig and try it. And for me, it's always when I'm at some sort of trade show, and I'm like, this is without a doubt the worst place ever to try a piece of gear. You can't hear shit. You can't dial anything in well. And you're also trying to then take over the space that you're trying to get other people to play whatever it is so that they hear about it so that you can try some other thing, which one of my favorite things to do is try new pieces of gear. But yeah, the worst when you're like, I have no idea how this is actually going to sound because I can't spend any actual time with it.
Yeah.
And I'm in a terrible environment for it, much like, you plugging in front of your rig. So
yeah, and for that reason, I often say, you know what, it's not a good time.
Yep.
But the times when I've gone, you know what, maybe I will try. It's often that was the right choice to make. But it's kind of like it's not dissimilar to somebody showing up to you're a bus driver or something, and somebody's like, here, try this bus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a funny thing, but it is sometimes it could be this could be a great moment. This could I could have a great time playing through a real Klon and kind of going, okay, fine, I'll try it, and then resulting in helping me have a great show. But it can also go the other direction when somebody's like, I would love it if you just tried this guitar, and it's like, well, but there's other people who paid to see this concert, and if this guitar takes me out of the moment and I do a bad job of playing that song, that might be somebody's favorite song that I just fucked up.
Yeah.
So I always have to and I've said no more often than I've said yes.
I find it interesting because being on the other side of this from you, because normally I'm the one who's bringing a piece of gear to an artist to try,
sure.
Right? But because of that type of situation and that feeling, and that I get that at things like the NAMM show, with it's normally other pedal builders that I'm friends with that are like, here, hey, you got to plug this in, you got to try it, and I'm like, I absolutely want to, just not here. And what happens is when I meet new artists, so there's a lot of times where we'll connect with somebody just over the internet, and then I'll end up going out to a show, and it's the first time we're meeting in person. And I'll often ask them if it's an artist that we're big fans of, if they want one of our pedals to try. I'll be like, hey, what pedal are you most interested in from us? I'll bring you one, and you can mess with it. And so often there's guys that are like, oh, I'll put it on my board for tonight. And I'm like, ooh, don't do that. And they're like, oh yeah, no, it'll be great. And I can get some photos. And I'm like, man, I'm not giving it to you for that. Just to be clear. I'm like, it's never a good time to throw and go. Like never. I'm like, I'm like, throw it in your work box or in your bag or whatever. And when you get home, mess with it and then send me a message and tell me what you think about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, and if you end up liking it and putting it on your board later, hey, that's awesome. That's why we build this stuff, is for it to be used to inspire you to create. But yeah, there's people who like definitely in the like AR side of what we do, there's people that are just like, if I throw it on my board now, then they're probably going to let me keep it. And, and then I can consider it paid for because I got a social media photo and threw it up. And I'm always like, dude, if I'm giving you a pedal at a show, I wasn't expecting you to do anything to quote unquote reimburse me or pay me for it.
Yeah, right.
So just take your time, because we actually want you to get to know our products. We want you to actually hopefully fall in love with what we do and start using it. So find the appropriate time to have that, that kind of moment with whatever product it is. And it is never right before your show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I've had people come with guitars. Like, do you want to try this during the show? Like, probably not.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for bringing this.
Yeah.
I'll check it out in sound check. But it's like they'll have me a guitar and it's in standard tuning with nines on it. I'm like, cool.
Ibanez Wizard neck.
Yeah,
You're like,
exactly.
This is perfect for somebody else.
Speaking of the right time, why don't I play
Of course.
and you dial?
Yes. And for reference, signal chain.
Yeah.
Joey's guitar into Gold Centaur, into silver, down into Joey's pedal board, which right now is going to have probably just the Flint running.
Correct. And maybe the delay.
Yeah.
I'm going to grab a guitar in E tuning.
Like standard? Oh, no.
I'll play the
open E.
telly, which is an open E.
Oh, yeah,
because people are always like, oh, am I supposed to know what that sounds like when it's tuned down?
Gotcha. All right.
So you just keep the folks entertained here while I walk across the...
So I've gone down the rabbit hole like significantly on Klon clones. I probably own, 15 or 20 different clones. For anybody wondering, my favorite of the Klon clones right now, I would say it's pretty close between the JHS and Klon. Is really awesome. Also a fun experience, very cool product. And
you have to make it yourself, right?
Yeah. Also, like
you don't have to solder anything, do you?
No, it's just like assemble. But shout out to Josh Scott, brilliant product, but brilliant like concept, marketing plan, everything. Like just like the best out of anything that I've seen in our industry. And the product itself is honestly really killer. And for $100, you cannot go wrong.
Gets really close to a real Klon.
Yeah, and my second favorite, and these are even above the Klon, like the actual Klon KTR. I would put the Harvey Centauri up there, and your 1%er. That one is also really close.
The Cherrytone,
yes.
Yep.
Now, the other thing I think we should do is you have your Nordvang 83 drive, which has a Klon side to it.
Yeah.
So I think we should also let's do some comparisons and get your opinion on, the gold versus the silver, and then the Klon side of the 83 drive. One other thing I want to mention is when I got my silver one, I had 3 to choose from. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I've played a bunch of original Klons before, and no two seem to be identical. Okay.
Right. Yep.
So I like to call them kind of the Dumble of pedals, because they're, number one, they're the pedal that is, kind of into the stratosphere of value for pedals. Like they're the pedal world equivalent to Dumble amps for, folklore and, and price point. But what I find also really interesting is that they are still highly sought after, even though they don't have consistency in their product builds. And Dumble was the same way. And that's not me in any way, shape, or form shitting on those brands. But I find it really interesting that some of the most sought after pieces of gear that we have in the industry, even like Gibsons, right? Like, how many times have you heard like, oh, well, you got to play a Gibson before you buy it because like the neck shapes are often slightly different because they're all hand sanded. And the most expensive things we have, or at least the most expensive things that are normally highly sought after, are also the least consistent from model to model.
Yeah.
Of the exact same thing in the same product line. Where with what we do at Revv, like we strive for like consistency and repeatability, and that's not. I think that we wouldn't be where we are if we didn't have consistency in our products. But I just find it so interesting that the most sought after things are the things that are not always the same.
Right.
You know,
there's a little X factor.
Yeah. And that to me is so strange because other companies would honestly just get drugged through the mud for doing that.
Sure.
But
I wonder what that is. Like, does that raise the cachet because it's hand built? Like, I know in Dumble's case, you know, where maybe the actual craftsmanship, he was not necessarily known for the cleanest builds.
Yeah.
But also every amp was like tinkered with and tweaked. You know, like as a very amateur amp builder, my most recent build that I did, when I finished it, was beautiful. Yep. But then as soon as I started modding it, it turned into a complete dog's breakfast. So I guess and I'm not at all trying to say that I'm like Dumble. You know, I'm just an idiot with a soldering iron in his basement. Like my amp building station is next to my cat's litter box. Literally smells like shit. Also, I'm the person who cleans the litter box, so it's my fault. Is there something that adds to the cachet knowing that it's hand built and it's like there's a chance that it could be extra special, or like do you think that's a part of the factor, or is that just add to the lore? You know, because obviously if these were mass produced and he was doing surface mount whatever, getting his circuit boards from overseas, would people be as excited about it?
Well, two things. Okay, so first of all,
we should probably play it soon too.
Yeah, here, I'll finish that thought quick. So I would say part of what you just said is like really hits the nail on the head, where like the fact that you got a good one, right? Like we all want to believe that whatever we got, that there's something special about it. So I think it doesn't just add to the lore because there is truth to it, right? Like there is truth to when I chose which silver Klon I was getting, I chose the one that I thought sounded and felt the best out of the three that I played. Yeah. And they were all like fairly different in feel, right? Right. So definitely I feel like I got a good one. Yeah. Right?
Is it gooped?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So so I think that adds to it. It's the same thing with Gibsons, right? Like, we did the podcast about the 91 Les Pauls and about how like the 91s that I've played are all good. And it just comes back to like, I have this great or good thing. And I think that adds to it. Now with Clon and with Dumble, it's the scarcity breeds value, right? Like, sure, that's really what it comes down to. These are hard to get. Yeah. There's not a lot of them. And even though they're not all consistent, I have never played a real one that I didn't think was great. Yeah. It's just a matter of what degree of great.
How great. Yeah.
That 5% that we talk about, like, is it 3? Is it 2? Or is it like 0.1%? Like, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, is it so close? Yeah. So yeah, I would say that's kind of, my thoughts on that. There's probably more the scarcity breeds value, but Gibson's an anomaly that way because there's no scarcity with Gibsons. They're everywhere. Yeah. You can get one anywhere.
It's just literally the product quality variance. Yeah. And people just seem to just absolutely love them for it.
Yeah. So, yeah. But let's hear it. So,
here's my clean tone.
Yeah. Not perfectly clean. I don't know about you, but I am not a perfectly clean guy.
I never play into a completely clean amp. Like
edge breakup.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got to have a little.
I'm usually like fairly into breakup. Like I'm more than edge of breakup. Yeah.
Like fully distorted amp, and then let's make it even more distorted.
Yeah. To play ballads.
Yes. So let's hear the gold first, okay?
Okay.
This is the one that I got first out of the two. Like I got this one year and that one the next year.
Okay.
So.
That's just... I mean, that's pretty wonderful. Then the harmonics just jumping out of there.
Yep. I always come back to that word bloom. I know it's a buzzword that we use in our industry a lot, but I feel like notes just bloom and kind of grow.
Yeah.
Without, without like kind of getting like too like overpowered or too much and feeding back too hard on you. Mm-hmm. It just seems like they just kind of bloom and grow and like remain open.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the flower of, of distortions.
So beautiful the way you talk about this. Yeah.
We do have them dialed fairly similar, and we have the Nordvang dialed fairly similar, just knob-wise, which obviously there's going to be component drift and variance, especially from the Nordvang to these, because they are not going to be the same circuit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the gold. Let's check out the silver, and I want you to tell me what you like either hear or feel as different, or what your opinion between the two is. So let's go to the silver.
Let me hear the gold again.
Yep.
Interesting. There's like the gold one is smoother.
Yes.
To my ear. But I think I like the silver one more.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very close.
Yeah.
There's like especially as a slide player, there's such an importance to me in like the way harmonics, like the way something, the way the depth of the harmonics of things, just because it's something that you can play with so much with slide by sort of playing slightly out of tune and things like that. Like anyway, it was nerdy shit. But when a drive pedal or a fuzz pedal can help you with those things, there's I'm not being very eloquent here, but there's a Velcro-iness to the way something feels playing slide that it almost makes me feel like it improves my intonation.
Okay. Interesting.
And it's like, so like, I'll give you an example. That's a major third on the fret.
Yep. Oh yeah.
So that's slightly flat. If you were to tune that on a tuner, but it sounds better to the ear.
Yeah.
There's something about, that's not even on.
Okay.
Hilarious. There's something about the way the harmonics of both of these are kind of happening that makes it easier for me to find that sweet spot.
Oh. Yeah, there's almost like a little bit of like harmonic overtone that comes from this.
And another spot where that happens is on a flat 7. So that's on the fret. Here's the where it would be in the harmonic overtone series. There.
Yeah.
Versus. So it's such a subtle thing, and it's like I said, it's a very nerdy thing. But when a drive pedal or a fuzz pedal is rich in those harmonic, I couldn't tell you if it's like, people would know whether it's like second order harmonics or whatever. I don't know that stuff. But it helps to find those sweet spots. And those are that's what I mean by it's like it makes me play more in tune.
Okay, so let's compare the silver to your Nordvang then. So. Okay. Like, that sounds great. But those harmonics are jumping out of this.
I hate it so much. Because the Nordvang is fantastic.
Yes.
And this is one of those things like you'd never hear that unless you were going bonk, bonk, bonk,
no.
bonk, bonk,
Yeah.
And you're never going to want for something else.
Yep.
Unless you do these side-by-side comparisons. But it's like, and it doesn't come down to necessarily the sound as much as it comes down to the way it feels.
To me, it's 100% how it feels because, like, what I would play with something like this, I'm not going to play your guitar though. See how in tune I am. All right. This to me, like, this is smoother. This has just a little bit more like kind of hair to it, right?
Yeah.
And I am going to play better playing this than I am playing anything else. Now, I've done like the comparisons with 1 year, our buddy Bruce Jacobs was showing me, I can't remember if they were Evidence audio cables or what they were, but it was like the $200 patch cable or $150 patch cable versus your $20 one.
Yeah.
And, you'd sit there and A-B back and forth and you can immediately hear the difference. But I told Bruce, I'm like, at the end of the day, I mean, I'm gonna, like, my cables are gonna get stolen. They're gonna forget some. I'm gonna step on them, or you were talking about rolling over them with your rolling chair in your control room, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna get destroyed. So, do I hear enough difference to justify spending, $200 on a cable versus 30?
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to.
No, I mean, I learned that lesson. I bought a $150 speaker cable, like 1.5 feet of speaker wire, and I left it at a gig, and it was gone, and that was the last time I did that.
Yep. So do you need to, invest in something like this to be able to get there? No, you can get there with a lot of other things.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm going to still play like... And for anybody watching, like, do you hear any difference in how I play that? No, you probably don't. Right? And they probably don't sound that different. But I can tell you, this one was more fun to play.
I agree.
I just feel like...
And do you want to sell it to me?
Absolutely not. The day you sell me your Nordvang...
I'll give you the Nordvang.
No.
Sorry, Henrik. Love you, buddy.
Yeah. So if you get a chance to play a real Klon, I guess the point here is go try one if you get a chance. And it's not to belittle, what you use. Like we were talking about, the Electro-Harmonix Soul Food earlier today. And that that's a great Klon clone that's really inexpensive. I mean, you put them up against the real things, they're not going to make it. I mean, even, I didn't bring it out here, but I have the KTR. And to me, the KTR, when I did a Klon shootout on our Gear and Beer live stream, actually, I've done them once or twice, I think. And the one of them, I had your 1%. Mm-hmm. And I think I ranked the KTR out of 10 or 12 pedals. I think it ranked 7 or 8. Like it was well below J-Rocket Archers are great Klon clones.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had ranked the Harby and the Nauticlon and stuff like that significantly higher. And that's even, over Finnegan's, his PCB, or like there's SMT components in it, but like his own, new version of the Klon, like the KTR.
Yeah.
Have you played that?
Not in a long time.
No. Yeah. But yeah, if you get a chance to sit down and play one of these at a store or anywhere, if you have a friend that has one, you got to sit down and play it, because there's, again, just something about the way that those notes bloom off of the attack that's just...
Also points for the most original enclosure.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know the story behind the enclosure, why, like where it came from. Because a lot of people have obviously made their own sandcasts, and you can get Klon enclosures that, to my eye, look identical. I have a few clones in Klon enclosures like that. But I want to know, like, was that his design, or did he see it in a catalog and was like, oh, cool? I want to know that story.
It reminds me of like a cross between like a spaceship from like a 60s like or 70s style like cartoon, or like, do you remember the you're probably too young for this, but do you remember there was a show, I think it was called The Thunderbirds?
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it reminds me
the
of
puppets.
Yeah, it reminds me of things from like that era when they would depict a spaceship.
Yeah.
And like I don't know why it looks that way to me. It's probably like, if we talk to them, it's going to be designed after some car, because so many products that are in our market are like referencing back to somebody's, Corvette and Cadillac or whatever. Yeah. So, but yeah, so that's this week's episode on the old Klons.
The hype is real, folks. The hype is real.
They are. Yeah. 100% not worth $10,000.
No. Does it sound phenomenal? Heck yeah.
Is it worth $1,000? Absolutely. But
I mean, like more things are worth $1,000. Like I bought that Octavia clone, like the Chicago Iron. That was my first expensive pedal, and I bought it going on 20 years ago, and I spent $500 on it then.
Yep.
And I remember just being like, oh, I can't believe I'm about to pull the trigger on a $500 pedal, and that's not a lot of money in the pedal world anymore. Like, no. I mean, you can still buy pedals for a lot cheaper, but like to buy a high-end boutique pedal for $500 is not weird.
No, not at all.
Which is crazy to me.
Yes.
Because there was a long time where I only made like $500 a month.
Right.
Or less.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. The joys of being a musician.
This week's episode is brought to you by living paycheck to paycheck. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks, guys. And if you like what we're doing, follow us.
Like and subscribe, right?
Yeah,
are we doing this
things
on YouTube?
Yeah, and the Spotify. Yeah.
There you go. Do all the things that we need you to do, please.
Yeah. Just hang out and watch. And tell us in the comments if you think Klons are super overhyped, or what. If you know of a Klon clone that we might not know of, I would really love to hear about that, because I like collecting all of them and trying them all out. So.
And one time we'll do a super episode where we play all of them turned on at once.
Yeah. Yes. All right. Thanks, everybody.